20,000 people were on their feet. The entire arena was shaking. Fans screaming, commentators shouting, cameras flashing from every angle. And in the middle of all that noise, one man stood completely alone. Ethan Hayes, America's fastest rising basketball superstar. 27 years old, league MVP candidate, the face of a billion-dollar franchise, the kind of athlete every young player dreamed of becoming. He had built the perfect life. Fame, money, power, success. And now, with just 4.8 seconds left on the clock, the game rested in his hands. 2 free throws. That was all. 2 shots, and he would seal the biggest win of his career. But something was wrong. Ethan Hayes was shaking. Not from pressure, not from exhaustion, from fear. Real fear. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. He bounced the ball once, twice, then looked up toward the giant arena screen. And that's when his entire world stopped. His face drained. His breathing changed. His hands froze. Because displayed across millions of screens was a headline that shouldn't have existed. Star player exposed. The crowd didn't understand. His teammates didn't understand. But Ethan did. Because he already knew exactly who had done it. Her. The one person he thought would never come back. The one person he buried deep in his past. The woman who once loved him when nobody knew his name. The woman he betrayed. Her name was Ava Brooks. And in a matter of seconds, she had destroyed everything. Phones lit up around the arena. Thousands of fans were suddenly reading the same story. Reporters scrambled. Commentators fell silent. Team executives stared in disbelief. Ethan didn't need to read a single word. Because he already knew what was inside. Secrets. Lies. Choices he spent years trying to bury. Choices that made him rich. Choices that made him famous. And choices that cost him the one person who ever truly loved him. The arena that had been deafening just moments earlier now felt strangely distant. Like the world around him had disappeared. Because suddenly, none of it mattered anymore. Not the money. Not the trophies. Not the endorsements. Not the fame. Everything he had built was collapsing in real time. And the worst part? This wasn't random. This wasn't an accident. This was calculated. Precise. Personal. Ava knew exactly where to hit. Exactly when to strike. Exactly how to make sure the whole world watched. Because nobody knew Ethan Hayes better than Ava Brooks. She knew the man before the fame. Before the luxury cars. Before the headlines. Before millions of followers worshipped his every move. She knew him when he was just a broke college athlete with impossible dreams. She knew his struggles. His pain. His ambition. And she knew something else. Something the entire world was about to learn. Ethan Hayes wasn't the man everyone believed he was. But here's what makes this story unforgettable. Ava didn't always want revenge. In fact, there was a time when she would have done anything for him. She loved him when he had nothing. She stood beside him when nobody else cared. She believed in him before the world called him special. So the real question isn't how she destroyed him. The real question is, what happened between them? How did a love story that once looked unbreakable turn into public destruction? How did the woman who once protected his deepest secrets become the one to expose them? And what could Ethan have done that was so devastating that Ava waited years for the perfect moment to strike? Because this story isn't just about basketball. It's about ambition, obsession, love, betrayal, and what happens when success changes someone so completely they stop recognizing themselves. Ethan Hayes spent his entire life chasing greatness. But somewhere along the way, he lost something far more valuable. And by the time he realized it, it was already too late. Because sometimes the biggest losses don't happen on the court. Sometimes they happen in the people we choose to break. And Ethan Hayes was about to learn that lesson in front of the entire world. At first glance, Ethan Hayes looked like the perfect success story. The kind America loves. A young athlete from humble beginnings who fought his way to the top through talent, discipline, and relentless ambition. To millions of fans, Ethan was more than just a basketball player. He was proof that hard work could still build legends. Every game added to his legacy. Every highlight made him bigger. Every victory made him richer. By 27, Ethan Hayes had everything most people spend their entire lives chasing. Money, status, influence, power. He had become the face of modern basketball. But long before the sold-out arenas, endorsement deals, and national headlines, there was Ava Brooks. And almost nobody knew her name. She wasn't famous. She wasn't chasing attention. She wasn't interested in the spotlight. But she was there before all of it. Before the fame. Before the pressure. Before Ethan became Ethan Hayes. She knew the version of him the world never saw. The hungry kid. The exhausted athlete. The young man carrying dreams bigger than himself. And for years, she was the person who knew him best. Which is exactly why what happened next makes this story so disturbing. Because somewhere between love and success, something changed. The question is, what happened? Why did Ethan walk away from the woman who stood beside him before the world cared? Why did Ava disappear from his life without warning? And after years of silence, Why return now? Why wait until the biggest moment of Ethan's career to expose him? Was this revenge? Was this justice? Or was the truth far more complicated than anyone realized? Because what the public saw that night inside the arena was only the final chapter. The collapse, the explosion, the moment everything fell apart. But the real story started years earlier, long before fame, long before betrayal, long before millions watched Ethan Hayes crumble in real time. To understand how everything fell apart, we have to go back. Long before the headlines, Ethan Hayes was just a kid with one obsession: basketball. Not because he loved the spotlight, not because he wanted fame, because for Ethan, basketball meant escape. It meant survival. Growing up in a small town outside Chicago, life was never easy. His family struggled financially. His father worked long hours and expected toughness. Weakness wasn't tolerated. Excuses weren't accepted. From a young age, Ethan learned one thing: if he wanted a better life, he had to earn it. Nothing would be handed to him. And Ethan embraced that mindset completely. He trained harder than everyone, ran longer, shot more, pushed further. While other kids slept, Ethan practiced. While others celebrated, Ethan worked. Because Ethan Hayes didn't just want success. He needed it. To him, success wasn't luxury. It was survival. Failure wasn't an option. That hunger made him different. Coaches noticed. Scouts noticed. Everyone saw the same thing. Ethan wasn't normal. He had something rare. Talent mixed with obsession. And obsession is powerful. But obsession comes with a cost. Then came Ava Brooks. And everything changed. Ava was nothing like Ethan. Where Ethan was intense, Ava was calm. Where Ethan pushed constantly, Ava understood patience. She was smart, driven, confident, the kind of person who could read people quickly. And from the moment she met Ethan, she saw something nobody else did. She saw beyond the athlete. She saw the pressure, the fear, the weight he carried. She saw the exhausted young man hiding behind ambition. And somehow, she understood him. Their connection was immediate, natural, effortless. For the first time in years, Ethan felt something unfamiliar. Peace. Around Ava, the pressure faded. The noise disappeared. He didn't have to prove anything. He could just exist. That changed everything. Their relationship grew fast. Late-night conversations turned into long nights at the gym. Ava would sit through endless practice sessions, waiting for him to finish. She encouraged him after bad games, steady during setbacks, present when the pressure became overwhelming. When injuries slowed him down, she stayed. When doubt crept into his mind, she reminded him who he was. She became more than his girlfriend. She became his anchor, his safe place, his peace. And Ethan needed that more than he realized. Because as his talent exploded, so did the attention. College recruiters flooded in. Sports media started talking. Social media clips went viral. Followers skyrocketed. People began calling him the future. The next big thing. The pressure intensified overnight. And with attention came opportunity. Brand deals, interviews, money, influence. The life Ethan always dreamed of was finally within reach. But success changes people. Sometimes slowly, sometimes all at once. At first, the changes were small, barely noticeable. A missed call here, a short response there. More time with agents, less time with Ava. Then the pressure got heavier. The expectations got louder. And the version of Ethan that Ava once knew started slipping away. The hunger that once inspired her was becoming something else. Something colder, something harder, more ruthless. And Ava could feel it. Success wasn't just changing Ethan's life. It was changing Ethan. And deep down, she knew something was coming. Because the higher Ethan climbed, the more he started believing that nothing mattered except winning. And that belief would eventually cost him everything. Success had started changing him. At first, the changes in Ethan were subtle, small enough to ignore, easy to excuse. A missed dinner because of practice, a delayed text, a shorter conversation, a distracted expression when Ava spoke. None of it seemed serious on its own. After all, Ethan's life was moving faster than ever. His name was everywhere. Sports networks couldn't stop talking about him. Analysts praised his explosiveness, his discipline, his ceiling. Scouts called him generational. Sponsors started calling. Agents started circling. And with every new opportunity, the pressure intensified. Ethan told himself he was doing all of this for their future, for stability, for success, for the life they both dreamed about. But Ava could feel something shifting. The warmth in Ethan was fading. The boy who once stayed up talking with her for hours was becoming harder to reach. More distant, more guarded, colder. And then came the attention. More fame brought more eyes, more cameras, more headlines, and more women. At first, Ava ignored it. She trusted Ethan. She believed in what they had built. But the attention around him was impossible to miss. Women suddenly wanted access to Ethan Hayes. Some wanted the fame. Some wanted the status. Some simply wanted to be close to the next big thing. And Ethan? He started enjoying it. The attention, the admiration, the validation. It fed something inside him. Something dangerous. Because success was no longer just about basketball. It had become about power. And power changes people. Ava saw it happening in real time. The confidence she once admired was turning into arrogance. The ambition she once loved was becoming obsession. And the man she loved was slowly disappearing. The arguments started small, then became frequent, then constant. Every conversation felt heavier. Every disagreement felt sharper. One night, after Ethan canceled plans for the third time in a week, Ava finally said what had been sitting in her heart for months. "You're not the same." For simple words. But they hit Ethan hard. Not because they were cruel, because they were true. And truth can be hard to hear. Ethan immediately became defensive. He blamed pressure. He blamed expectations. He blamed stress. He told Ava she didn't understand what he was carrying, what he was sacrificing, what it took to reach the top. But Ava wasn't asking for perfection. She wasn't asking him to choose between love and basketball. She was asking one thing, not to lose himself. But Ethan couldn't hear that anymore. All he heard was criticism. All he felt was pressure. And pressure was turning him into someone neither of them recognized. The distance between them kept growing. Until one morning, everything exploded. It started with a photo, then another, then several more. Within hours, social media was flooded. The images spread like wildfire. Phones buzzed nonstop. Sports blogs posted updates by the minute. Comment sections erupted. And suddenly, the entire internet was talking about one thing. Ethan Hayes. And the woman beside him. A woman who wasn't Ava Brooks. The photos were devastating. There was no room for denial. No confusion. No explanation. Just painful, undeniable truth. Ethan had betrayed her. The internet exploded overnight. Fans debated. Media speculated. Comment sections turned vicious. Some defended him. Some attacked him. But for Ava, none of that mattered. Because behind every headline, every repost, every viral tweet, was heartbreak. Raw and personal. The kind that changes something inside you. Ava didn't scream. She didn't call. She didn't beg for answers. She didn't cause a scene. That silence hurt more than anger ever could. Because silence meant something had broken. Something deep. Something final. Ethan reached out. Again and again. Calls. Texts. Voicemails. Nothing. No response. No explanation. Just silence. And then, Ava Brooks disappeared. Completely. She left without warning. Changed her number. Deleted everything. No public statement. No confrontation. No closure. She was simply gone. Like she had erased herself from Ethan's world overnight. And somehow, Ethan kept moving. His career didn't collapse. It didn't slow down. If anything, he got bigger. He kept winning. Kept scoring. Kept climbing. The headlines eventually faded. Fans moved on. The media found new stories. And Ethan Hayes continued his rise to superstardom. From the outside, it looked like he survived. Like the scandal meant nothing. Like losing Ava changed nothing. But that wasn't true. Because even as the world celebrated Ethan's success, a part of him knew something important had been lost. Something real. Something irreplaceable. He buried it the only way he knew how. By focusing harder. Training more. Winning more. Convincing himself that success could silence regret. But regret doesn't disappear. It waits. Quietly. Patiently. And while Ethan moved forward believing Ava was gone forever, he had no idea. Ava Brooks wasn't done. Time has a strange way of changing what pain feels like. At first, heartbreak feels unbearable. Then slowly, life moves. Days turn into weeks. Weeks turn into years. And somewhere along the way, people convince themselves they've moved on. That's exactly what happened with Ethan Hayes. After Ava disappeared, Ethan threw himself deeper into the one thing that had always protected him from pain. Basketball. He trained harder, played harder, worked harder, and it worked. Year after year, Ethan's career exploded. College dominance turned into professional stardom. Professional stardom turned into superstardom. Then superstardom became something even bigger. Ethan Hayes was no longer just a basketball player. He had become a brand. A global name. The face of a new era. Everywhere you looked, Ethan was there. Billboards. Commercials. Sports magazines. National television. Millions followed his every move. Millions wanted his life. The luxury cars were real. The mansions were real. The private jets. The endorsements. The fame. Everything he once dreamed about had finally become reality. By 27, Ethan had reached the peak. All-star appearances. MVP conversations. Championship contention. Untouchable. That's what everyone believed. Untouchable. Fans admired him. Brands trusted him. Executives invested in him. The public saw confidence. Control. Power. They saw a man who had mastered pressure. A man who had won. But success has a dangerous way of hiding cracks. Because while Ethan had built an empire, he had also built it on secrets. Secrets buried beneath years of success. Secrets he convinced himself would never surface. Then one morning, everything changed. It began quietly. An anonymous post. Small at first. Easy to ignore. No major media attention. No immediate panic. Just accusations. Vague. Sharp. Unsettling. At first, Ethan dismissed it. Just noise. Just another rumor. Fame attracts controversy. He had seen this before. But then more appeared. Another post. Then another. Then leaked messages. Private conversations. Old screenshots. Confidential documents. The allegations became more specific, more damaging, more dangerous. And suddenly, the story was spreading. Fast. Sports blogs picked it up. Then national media. Then everyone. Phones exploded. News alerts flooded social media. Comment sections turned hostile overnight. Questions became accusations. Accusations became headlines. Ethan Hayes under fire. New claims surface. Career in jeopardy. The timing couldn't have been worse. Contracts were suddenly under review. Sponsors